December 21st, 2003. Homeland Security raises America to code orange. The nation braces for an impact that feels inevitable. Armed police storm the Metropolitan Museum in Manhattan. They evacuate 5,000 tourists at gunpoint into the freezing streets. Children are pushed past ancient artifacts. The fear of an imminent terror strike paralyzes the entire country. Across the Atlantic Ocean, the panic spreads like wildfire. Air France cancels 6 international flights without explanation. A British Airways jet reverses course midair. Royal Air Force fighter jets scramble to escort the massive commercial airliner safely back to the ground. Thousands of passengers are stranded in terminals worldwide. Families are separated right before the Christmas holidays. Inside the White House Situation Room, the atmosphere is suffocating. Senior officials sit around a heavy wooden table debating the unthinkable. They are considering an order to shoot down commercial passenger planes. Jets filled with American citizens returning home for the holidays might be blown out of the sky. The tension is unbearable as the clock ticks closer to disaster. This massive mobilization of military and intelligence forces stems from a single source. It is not an undercover spy deep inside a terror cell. It is not a captured operative spilling secrets under interrogation. The most powerful nation on earth is paralyzing itself because of computer printouts. These printed pages are routed directly to the desk of the president. The man providing this terrifying intelligence is not a seasoned cryptographer. He holds no degrees in national security or computer science. Yet the Central Intelligence Agency built him a classified facility. They handed him top-secret security clearance on a silver platter. They believed he possessed a technology capable of seeing what no one else could see. You are about to witness one of the greatest deceptions in modern history. We will not look at a mastermind plotting a bank heist. We are looking at a man who hijacked the American intelligence apparatus. He used their own trauma and desperation against them. He weaponized paranoia to steal millions of dollars right under their noses. To understand the magnitude of this fraud, we must look at the mechanics of fear. After the tragic events of September 11th, the government had a blank check. They were desperate for any solution to stop the next attack. Rational thinking was replaced by blind faith. This created the perfect breeding ground for a predator to emerge. The terrifying truth is that the intelligence community suspended all disbelief. They bypassed their own rigorous vetting processes. They ignored the glaring red flags waving right in front of their eyes. When fear dictates policy, the door opens for opportunists. The system designed to protect the public became the very instrument of its own vulnerability and humiliation. But the real scandal is not just how this man managed to fool the most powerful agencies in the world. The true horror lies in what happened after the curtain was pulled back. When the mathematical impossibility of his claims was finally exposed, the authorities faced a choice. They could admit their catastrophic failure or hide it. They chose the shadows. They buried the truth so deep that the mastermind simply walked away. He collected millions more from the Pentagon and continued his career of deception. This is the story of how a casino technician almost caused friendly fire on an unimaginable scale. It is a masterclass in exploiting human psychology and institutional incompetence. As the snow fell on Washington that December, nobody knew the reality. The concrete barriers and sniper teams were deployed against ghosts. The enemy was not a foreign sleeper cell plotting destruction. The real threat was a relentless gambling addict sitting comfortably in Nevada. He manipulated the strings of power with lines of completely worthless code. We must rewind the clock to the year 1998 in Reno, Nevada. Dennis Montgomery is a 40-year-old medical technician. He decides he is tired of drawing blood samples for a living. He reinvents himself overnight as a software entrepreneur. He teams up with Warren Trepp, a high-rolling investor with a notoriously checkered financial past. Together, they launch a tech startup focused on casino surveillance. They sell video compression tools to monitor the sprawling casino floors. Montgomery develops software to help pit bosses catch card counters in real time. It is a clever application of technology. The biggest threats his algorithms ever hunted were merely math students trying to beat the house odds. However, Montgomery harbors a dark secret that will dictate his future. He is a compulsive gambler of the highest order. Vegas insiders refer to men like him as whales. Top-tier casinos treat him like absolute royalty because he always plays until he loses everything. He recklessly bets six figures on weekend binges, constantly chasing his massive losses. By the year 2001, his finances are completely ruined. He has bounced nearly $2 million in personal checks across Sin City. The very man who will soon claim to decode terrorist communications cannot even keep his own bank account solvent. He is trapped in a destructive loop of adrenaline and crushing financial debt. The casino floor provides a ritual that Montgomery cannot escape. The flashing lights and the massive bets create an unbreakable psychological cycle. The addiction is no longer about winning money. It is about the thrill of the chase and the momentary pause from reality. He is desperately searching for a way out of his rapidly collapsing world. Meanwhile, the world outside the neon lights of Nevada is about to change forever. The September 11th attacks shatter every assumption about national security. Washington floods the defense sector with an ocean of money. Budgets balloon massively as agencies sprint to acquire new technologies. They are willing to pay anything for a promise to prevent the next tragedy. The traditional gates of oversight completely evaporate in the heat of panic. Contractors who once struggled to secure a simple meeting now find doors wide open. It is the ultimate gold rush for defense technology companies. Montgomery observes this chaotic environment and spots his grand opening. He sees a desperate buyer with incredibly deep pockets and zero skepticism. His partner Warren Trepp carries his own heavy baggage from Wall Street. Trepp was previously involved with a firm whose massive fraud symbolized corporate corruption. This combination of a gambling addict and a questionable financier is entirely toxic. They are not the kind of team anyone should trust with highly sensitive national secrets or classified intelligence operations. Yet the post-terror landscape of America is not asking any hard questions. Qualifications and rigorous background checks are cast aside for the illusion of safety. Montgomery decides to pivot his casino software into a counter-terrorism weapon. He prepares to sell the ultimate snake oil to the most dangerous and powerful buyers on the entire planet. He needs to craft a story so compelling that it bypasses all logic. A mastermind knows exactly how to identify his target's deepest vulnerabilities. The intelligence community is terrified of missing another crucial warning sign. Montgomery plans to exploit that exact fear with a lie of monumental proportions. The trap is meticulously set for the government to step inside. The transition from catching casino cheats to hunting global terrorists is absurd, but desperation makes brilliant men blind to obvious impossibilities. Montgomery packs his laptop and prepares to pitch his miraculous technology. He is about to walk into the heart of American intelligence armed with nothing but raw confidence. The greatest magic trick of the century is about to begin. The year is 2002. A Nevada congressman uses his political connections to arrange a high-level meeting. Dennis Montgomery walks into the Central Intelligence Agency headquarters in Virginia. He carries absolutely no credentials in cryptography or signals analysis. He brings nothing but a laptop and a wildly audacious claim straight out of a spy novel. Montgomery sits before the top gadget geeks of the intelligence world. He looks them in the eye and delivers his masterful pitch. He claims his proprietary algorithm can detect hidden terrorist messages embedded in television broadcasts. According to him, terrorists are hiding secret coordinates and attack dates inside the pixels of Al Jazeera satellite news channels. He explains this process as a highly advanced form of steganography. He insists that lethal instructions are hidden in plain sight, entirely invisible to the naked eye. Only his specific software possesses the unique key to unlock this data. It is a story so ridiculous that seasoned professionals should have immediately escorted him straight out of the building. Instead, the desperate officials lean forward in their chairs. The wound of the recent attacks remains incredibly raw across the nation. The worst professional sin for an agent is dismissing a warning that turns out to be genuine. They ask themselves, what if this strange software salesman is actually right? They simply cannot afford to ignore his claims. The agency opens its doors completely to this unvetted outsider. They transform a corner of his Reno office into a highly secure classified facility. Heavy cipher locks are installed to seal the doors from the public. Top secret safes line the walls to protect the supposed intelligence. It looks exactly like a legitimate high-tech defense operation. CIA personnel begin arriving in Nevada with briefcases handcuffed to their wrists. Armed escorts transport classified materials back and forth across the country. Inside that secure room, Montgomery begins producing his fake intelligence. His method remains intentionally opaque and impossible to verify. His software ingests news broadcasts and spits out massive reams of meaningless numbers and coordinates. Montgomery aggressively interprets these random outputs as decoded terrorist communications. He points to the cryptic letter strings as proof of hidden names and imminent timelines. The handlers treat this raw garbage as genuine signals intelligence. They stamp the printouts with top-secret classifications and send them rushing up the chain of command. The illusion becomes absolute reality. These fabricated reports rapidly reach the highest levels of the government. The Director of Central Intelligence is personally briefed on the alarming findings. Montgomery's printouts eventually land on the desks of the National Security Council. A direct pipeline now connects a broke gambling addict in Nevada to the Oval Office. There is zero independent verification of his methods. The intense classification of the project becomes Montgomery's ultimate shield. Only those who are already deeply invested are allowed to access the data. Skepticism is completely suffocated by the strict security protocols. Anyone qualified to debunk the algorithm is legally barred from ever examining it. The institutional immune system is entirely short-circuited by the overwhelming urgency. By early 2003, he secures a massive new contract. The Pentagon pays his company $10 million to develop more counter-terrorism tools. A man owing millions to casinos is now wealthy on taxpayer money. His bank account overflows while he feeds the government pure fiction. The stage is set for a catastrophic international crisis. The success of the deception fuels his reckless audacity even further. Montgomery knows he must keep raising the stakes to maintain the massive funding. He begins drafting scenarios of unprecedented violence and scale. The machinery of American defense is completely under his spell. He is steering a global superpower directly toward the edge of an unimaginable deadly cliff. Late 2003 arrives with a chilling new warning. Montgomery claims his software has decoded a specific and incredibly imminent plot. He warns that terrorists will target international flights bound for the United States during Christmas. The fabricated details are shockingly precise and meticulously designed to trigger maximum panic. He names specific airlines and exact flight routes. The raw data outlines a coordinated strike across multiple oceans. He warns of a second massive attack far larger than the last one. His printouts display fake seat assignments for hijackers and countdown timers expressed in complex codes. When this terrifying information hits the intelligence headquarters, the alarm bells ring deafeningly loud. No one dares to question it. The intelligence is rushed directly to the President of the United States. The message is completely unambiguous regarding the massive threat. Hundreds of innocent lives are supposedly hanging in the balance. The President authorizes the military to do whatever is necessary to stop the plot. The full weight of the American security apparatus swings into violent, frantic motion. The public only sees the terrifying consequences of this hidden intelligence. Airports on 3 continents descend into absolute pandemonium. Flights are canceled and passengers are stranded in massive lines. National Guard troops patrol train stations with automatic rifles in hand. The holiday season is entirely overshadowed by the paralyzing dread of phantom attackers lurking in the skies. Inside the underground situation room, the tension reaches a breaking point. Officials debate preemptively shooting down suspicious passenger aircraft over the ocean. They are weighing the lives of innocent families against the data produced by a con artist. America nearly convinces itself to commit mass murder based on absolute fiction. The breaking point is dangerously close to snapping. The salvation comes from an entirely unexpected and foreign source. The French government is furious at the chaos inflicted on their national airline. They demand to see the exact evidence that justified grounding their commercial flights. When American officials refuse to share the classified software, the French launch their own investigation. They refuse to accept the blind panic. French intelligence engineers obtain copies of the exact same satellite broadcasts. They examine the video files frame by single frame in their laboratories. They test the files for hidden data using rigorous computer science methods. They meticulously calculate the available bandwidth of the transmissions. Their definitive conclusion arrives in early January, and it is incredibly devastating to Washington. The external report bluntly states that the American claims are scientifically impossible. The television video files simply lack the data capacity to hide such complex coordinates. The encoding schemes described by the supposed genius completely violate basic information theory. It is mathematically absurd to hide a massive novel inside a single short sentence. The software is proven fake. French officials relay their definitive findings through tense diplomatic channels. The message to the Americans is brutally honest and deeply humiliating. They declare the software is complete nonsense, and the source is entirely worthless. They point out that a massive international crisis was nearly triggered over nothing. The house of cards built by the gambler finally begins collapsing. Inside the American intelligence agencies, the reaction is absolutely volcanic. Highly trained professionals realize they have been duped by a simple casino technician. They grounded flights and mobilized armies because they trusted a blatant liar. The mathematical reality shatters the illusion completely. Now, the most powerful organizations on Earth must decide how to handle their own monumental embarrassment. The truth is a bitter pill that no one wants to swallow. A single voice of dissent had tried to warn them months earlier, but was silenced. The bureaucracy had crushed any internal skepticism to protect its own momentum. Now, the undeniable mathematical proof forces them to face the mirror. The reckoning has arrived, but justice remains elusive. The moment for true accountability and public transparency finally arrives. A private contractor nearly caused a mass tragedy through deliberate, calculated fraud. Citizens naturally expect congressional investigations and severe criminal consequences. Someone must explain how a gambling addict almost got hundreds of innocent travelers killed. The public deserves to know the dangerous truth behind the terrifying holiday panic. Instead, the intelligence apparatus does something truly extraordinary and deeply sinister. They choose to bury the entire humiliating disaster in total silence. The agency quietly terminates the contractor's access without any formal public announcement. The highly secure room in Nevada is rapidly dismantled piece by scattered piece. The heavy cipher locks are stripped completely away from the office doors. The classified clearance evaporates as if it never existed at all. They effectively erase him from the intelligence community, but do so silently. There are no press conferences or apologies offered to the furious French government. They issue no warnings to other federal agencies about the dangerous fraudster. The affair is sealed tight under the highest level of classification. The cover-up is not implemented to protect sensitive national security. It is executed purely to hide profound institutional humiliation and monumental incompetence. Admitting the truth would completely destroy public trust and embarrass the highest leadership. The safest path for the bureaucracy is absolute silence. They prioritize their own pristine reputation far above any standard of genuine justice. Because the failure is hidden, other government branches remain completely blind. The military continues to award the con artist tens of millions of dollars. One arm of the government knows he is a dangerous criminal. The other arm shovels massive piles of taxpayer money directly into his pockets. The sheer absurdity of the situation is staggering and deeply infuriating. Eventually, federal agents are forced to raid his sprawling Nevada home. They seize dozens of hard drives packed with highly classified stolen material. The undeniable evidence of rigged demonstrations and massive fraud is sitting right there. The government faces a critical choice between exposing the truth or protecting the lie. They choose to protect the architect of the lie. The Justice Department steps in to invoke the state secrets privilege. They argue that any open trial would threaten the safety of the nation. The courtroom doors are violently slammed shut to protect the embarrassed agencies. The evidence is completely wiped clean from the seized hard drives. The massive institutional cover-up becomes the ultimate confession of their guilt. The masterful deceiver walks away entirely, completely free of all charges. He never spends a single day inside a dark prison cell. Despite overwhelming proof of stealing millions, he faces absolutely zero legal consequences. He learns a very valuable dark lesson about the nature of power. If a lie is humiliating enough, the victims will actually protect the liar. This is not the story of an evil genius with unparalleled intellect. It is the story of a system that catastrophically failed its own stress test. He simply exploited raw fear and the total absence of accountability. He found the weak seams in a massive bureaucracy, blinded by panic. The true danger was always inside the deeply flawed security system. The chilling reality is that the institutions chose concealment over correction. They were willing to kill innocent citizens based on absolute garbage data. When confronted with their deadly mistake, they simply swept it under the rug. The gambler won his biggest bet without ever showing his cards. The public is left wondering what other deadly secrets remain buried forever.